Welcome to Reinventing Broadcast, where AI meets content. Hosted by Ben Anker. Let's dive in.
Welcome to Reinventing Broadcast, where AI meets content. I'm Ben Anker, and this episode is all about how artificial intelligence helped me shift gears from content creator to digital product developer. Let's dive in.
Hi everyone, Rihanna here. In episode 1, we unpacked Ben's personal AI journey. In episode 2, we took a deep dive into his AI-powered content pipeline. And today, we're stepping into the world of digital products. Books, courses, lead magnets, automation, and a podcast revival powered entirely by AI. So Ben, what sparked this evolution?
The idea to restart the podcast came from a colleague in the industry. They encouraged me to bring it back, and with that came the question: how do I relaunch this in a way that aligns with the AI-first approach I've been building? That became the catalyst. I realised I no longer needed in-person guests or high-maintenance logistics. I could build this series using AI voices, including my own cloned voice.
Which brings us to your tool of choice, ElevenLabs, with its recent big investment round, feature-rich API, and intuitive, easy-to-use web interface. But didn't you try other options first?
Yes, I tested Google's Notebook LM and Illuminate products first, but with its voice limitations just used it for a bonus episode. For the actual numbered episodes, I tried voicing in Wondershare initially. It had promise, but lacked the natural conversational pacing and nuance I was after. Then, I explored ElevenLabs, and that's where things really took off. I jumped into their studio feature to build the podcast from scratch. I tested voices from different countries, styles and age ranges. I remember there was male and female voices, which were American and British accents, all conversational style. In the end, from the shortlisted 4 voices, I settled on one called Lucy, which I renamed for the first few episodes at least. She had that casual, conversational, storytelling tone I needed.
I feel honoured. I did wonder how you selected your co-hosts, and glad it suits the conversation. So how did you create your own voice?
Fortunately, I had a 90-minute clean audio recording from my audiobook. It was done in a professional studio in London, so found the original file in my archives. I uploaded that into ElevenLabs to train the system. While they say you can start with as little as 5 minutes, more audio gives you a higher quality, more accurate model.
And how did you do the scripting? I'm presuming you didn't spend a lot of time hand-cranking the script out manually, did you?
That was done using ChatGPT. I'd map out the episode with key points, do some dictation, and then flesh it out in ChatGPT to reach my target word count, ideally 1,400 to 1,600 words for a 10 to 15-minute episode. I'd even do multiple dictation notes, or if I had source documents like PDFs, I can add them in the prompt and it gives more context. Once I was happy with the script, I'd paste it into ElevenLabs Studio.
That must be a crucial part of the whole podcast creation process, and kind of fundamental. So in the ElevenLabs Studio, was it straightforward to apply the voices?
I'd say yes, mostly. I'd strip out the Ben and Rihanna labels, so they wouldn't be read aloud. Then, I'd assign my voice and yours line by line. Studio lets you manually select which voice applies to each paragraph. After that, it's about adjusting the speed and gain levels. I had to increase my pace by 0.1 speed to match the co-host's rhythm and tweak the volume levels, boosting mine slightly and lowering yours to even things out.
It sounds like audio engineering if we think back in the day, with people's makeshift podcast studios and hosts having the classic cans headphones on and a radio mic. But nowadays it's with AI instead of mixers and microphones.
Exactly, there's no need for hardware. I would also do proof listening rather than proofreading as you would with a written book. Some words, like niche, didn't sound natural, so I'd add quotation marks, insert spaces between characters, or rewrite sections directly in ElevenLabs. You don't have to return to ChatGPT for small edits. You can do it in-platform.
Sounds like you just need to finesse the output now that you can iterate the main conversation section in ElevenLabs. What about exporting the final audio?
That's a good question. I had some trouble exporting as WAV, as a few exports got clipped off. so I started exporting in .mp3, which sounded just fine and didn't clip. You can also choose the output quality. Once I had the master file, I'd go into Audacity, where I've built a podcast template that includes the jingle intro and outro.
So you're basically dragging the MP3 into the middle, checking spacing and exporting a final mix.
That is exactly the workflow. I'd leave a half-second gap between the jingle and the start of the episode, do a quick playback, then export as a mastered WAV file. After that, I'd upload the file to Spotify for podcasters, schedule the episode, and aim to publish early Tuesday mornings, timed for both European and North American audiences.
Let's zoom out. Once the podcast relaunch was flowing, you started exploring how to expand your digital footprint using AI, and I believe that includes eBooks, audiograms, and even course platforms, right?
Yes, I was researching what other digital products I could utilise. My existing ebook and audiobook were primed for repurposing. I used ChatGPT to help reformat the first few chapters into a standalone sort of about me downloadable PDF to be used for a lead magnet. Then I planned a 3-part mini-series from the original content. Each mini-book could then be bought standalone or sold as a bundle.
It must have been a real treasure trove of material you have that you're able to leverage, Ben, and with it being created before AI, it's even more special. What tools are you exploring for book and course creation?
For books, I've been looking at designer.com with a double R, Word Genie, Bookle, and Manuscriptor. For courses, Kajabi is the polished option, but I've also discussed using Webflow or Framer with a developer, making a web app rather than a traditional website. That way, I can host courses, products, and memberships all in one place.
And all the while, you're looking at how these content pieces interact. eBooks feeding into courses, audiobooks leveraging ElevenLabs for more voice conversations, podcasts leading into funnels. It must be a bit of an ecosystem and all part of your journey exploring the art of the possible, hey?
Well, yes, exactly, because it is all interlinked together. That's where the other product development and research tools come in. I group my tools into 3 buckets. Number 1, voice and media production. This includes ElevenLabs for the voicing. Headliner, it has AI automation for YouTube. Otter is great for podcast dictation. And Google's Notebook LM and Illuminate. These are for bonus episodes featuring outside guests only. Number 2, book and course development. This included for books Designer, Bookle, Word Genie, Manuscriptor, and for courses, Kajabi, Webflow, and Framer. Number 3, strategy and market research. I've tested most of these at least once, and they include SEMrush, Brandwatch, CrawlQ, Mint Smart, WordStream, and Answer the Public.
That's some suite of tools you just went through, Ben. But I bet it's a smart, repeatable system, and it all loops back to the podcast as the anchor point.
Well, thinking of it like that then, yes. The podcast isn't just a show. Remembering back to the early COVID times, it was the launch pad really. My old friend in Japan giving me encouragement to start creating episodes, and in turn, some of those excerpts being incorporated into the books later. So it is all kind of interlinked. It's the heartbeat of the ecosystem, if I can phrase it like that. And AI gives me the power to keep that heartbeat consistent.
That's very inspiring. Good on your friend to give you that initial spark to start the whole podcast creation process that spurned all the other products. If someone's listening and wondering how to start building something similar, where should they begin?
Start with what you already have, for example, like a blog or article. You can then turn it into a script. Do you have some old recordings? Why don't you transcribe it and then you have the text available? Maybe you don't have anything like that, but you do have an idea. Then you can map it out in ChatGPT. You don't have to do everything all at once. But AI helps you do something quickly. Then iterate going forwards.
We have discussed so many tools that can help the listeners, but the part you just mentioned then about ideas really stands out, as human creativity is what still creates this in the first place. And so for the people listening and curious to know more, where can they follow this journey?
I guess just visit the website ancast.tv. Everything's there, including resources, episodes, and product updates. plus more to come.
Thanks for joining us on Reinventing Broadcast. Be sure to follow, rate, review and share on whichever platform you are tuning in on. And we'll catch you next time.
Cheers, everyone. Keep building on your dreams and stay curious.
Thanks for listening to Reinventing Broadcast. Subscribe for more on AI content and the future of media. And visit ancast.tv for more info on Ben himself, the resources, other content, and news.